We are at the Metals Investor Forum, really the prelude before the world's largest mining conference, the PDAC, which kicks off tomorrow. And joining me today is Gwen Preston of the Resource Maven. Gwen, it's our first time speaking. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know you do a lot of stuff for Kitco Insider, but it's the first time that I actually get to pick your brain and get your thoughts on the market here.
Yes.
How are you seeing things right now?
I'm actually more bullish. I have a better outlook, a stronger outlook on commodities as a complex than I have for a long time. 9-10 years, and that really is grounded in the fact that we're late in a bull market, so there's a relative valuation argument. I'm sure you've talked to lots of people about
Yes.
that, the fact that the bull market has gone on for so long, miners and the metals have not participated in that, so relative valuation starts to stand out. But then late in an economic expansion, you also get commodity demand that just starts to outstrip supply. You get inflationary pressures that are really helpful for metal prices. We're also at a point where the US dollar is no longer the cleanest shirt in a dirty laundry pile. Now there's currency competition, so that's put a cap on the US dollar. All of these factors are just, the forces are aligning behind commodities in a way that we haven't seen for a long time. And I think, so that's just really starting to play out now. There's questions in that midst, but global growth is the backdrop, and we're really starting to see commodities get support.
I know it's a really difficult question to answer, but you know, it does look like a great scenario where gold should be breaking out, despite the interest rate hikes that are expected here to come. So when does that kick in for gold? Like, when does that rally happen?
So the interesting thing for me is I like gold. I certainly am bullish on gold, but I don't see a fire lighting under gold until there's something more disruptive in the global economy and the financial markets. And at this point, I don't see that. I see volatility increasing. We've certainly experienced that since the year began. So I see volatility increasing and that helping gold. But I'm more excited about commodities as a whole. I'm excited about copper and zinc and graphite and cobalt and all of these coming together to lift the metal sector as a whole. Gold, I think the opportunity will go along. And then when it all comes tumbling down, that's when gold gets its real time to shine. A little bit down the road.
So that said, I'm going to ask you your top 3 mining picks. Are they focused on zinc, cobalt,
I have
lithium?
So I have the spread for sure. So if I was going to do top 3, zinc is definitely in the play. So I would probably name fireweed zinc as my favorite. It has certainly gained in price a lot recently, and I get that. But if you look at market cap,
you still think there's legs there?
I still think that there's a lot of room there for that situation to develop. I really like copper. I think between the energy metals argument, this broad commodities complex that's going, I really like copper. I like to offer some low risk options for subscribers as investment options. So one that I really like there is Entrée Resources. It's that slightly complicated one where they own parts of that huge copper mine in Mongolia, the one that Rio Tinto's building. I wouldn't tell the whole story now because it's complicated, but at the end of the day, I think that they will get taken out either by Rio or by a royalty player sometime in the next year or two because it's an incredible asset that they own, so I really like that one. And then I have to throw gold into the mix. I love gold, and I do think that because of the increased volatility, gold will participate in this commodities rally. So again, on the lower risk side, well, actually, I'm going to name Great Bear. So they have 2 exploration assets in Red Lake, Ontario. Exploration's obviously the risky end of the spectrum, but given the consistency of gold that we've seen so far at Dixie Lake, which is their main project, and given the number of targets that they have there, and the fact that success at any one of these 4 targets would change the scale of what might happen there dramatically, I really like the odds, especially because they have hardly any shares out. They've got 19 million shares
So
out.
when you're in a position where you actually get to go to these projects, you get to see them firsthand, but for the everyday investor out there, what's the due diligence they should be doing when they're picking stocks here? Like, I know management comes up and jurisdiction. So what do you look at?
That's a great question. So you need to have your fundamental argument. So you need to understand why you're entering the space as a whole. But once that's there, in no particular order, all of perhaps equal importance, you need a share structure that's tight, that makes sense, because You can grow valuation, but if there's a bunch of shares, then price doesn't move very much. You need management that has appropriate experience, right? If they've done really well in graphite, that doesn't mean they know anything about gold. So appropriate experience, and on both the technical side and the capital market side. Knowing lots about geology but having no money doesn't work.
Right.
Having lots of money but not having anywhere good to put it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it just becomes difficult to pinpoint because, you know, when you talk to these juniors, everyone has the next big thing.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you cut through the noise if you don't have a geology background?
No, it's fair. And I mean, I think what you need is to have a network of people that you can rely on. I'm not an expert in everything. I'm very good in a few parts of the sector, and I have weaknesses in other parts. So then I know who I can ask questions to in those areas where I'm not as good. And I know parts of my network are very strong, and other parts are not as strong. So I think you really need to have a team that you can rely on. So never make a decision on your own. Always bounce your ideas off of other people to see if there's you know, hornets that come out of the nest.
That's why you're the resource maven. Gwen Preston, thanks so much for chatting with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for watching. Our coverage is only just beginning, so be sure to stay tuned to Kitco.com. Thanks, Gwen.